Hello and welcome to another episode of the Act Like Barbara podcast. I am Barbara. So I last left off on encouraging you to try it first when you are thinking of a business idea. So presuming that you have tried it, presuming that you know you love it, you can move on to the next step. So the next step in this series is not letting the "I'm not ready yet" fear get you to stop. So this this part of the plan really involves finding the minimum viable product or service, MVP for short, that you can provide to people and with the lowest possible overhead as well. You want to eliminate as many obstacles as possible in front of you for getting started. You also want to be sure that you're not on the hunt for the perfect solution for whatever it is that you need, because honestly, you won't know. You don't know enough yet at this point in time to know what your perfect solution is going to be. And I can give you a specific example. You may need to meet with clients one-on-one on a video call. You don't necessarily know yet, unless you have a lot of experience with various video platforms and scheduling platforms, which of the various features that are out there and available, which ones you would prefer to have. So for video calls, you can use Zoom, which is what I happen to use. You can use Google Meetings or Google Meets, whatever it's called now. Jitsi. There's a few other ones. I think Big Blue Button is another service, but there's a few different options there. You won't know which one you prefer until you try them. Thankfully, a lot of these services that I just named have like a free trial version, or they may even have a free tier that's just free always, as long as you keep your appointments to under 45 minutes, for example, or something like that. So you don't necessarily want to stay in this zone. Just because it's free doesn't mean that it's maybe the most appropriate, especially if you do have like a really good conversation with a client going, and then you are running into the 45-minute mark and you have that embarrassing moment where you have to send them a new link and rejoin just to continue the conversation. It kind of kills the momentum a little bit. But if you are just starting out, and if the limitations of the free version do not inhibit you in any way from conducting business properly, I say go for it for now. As you go along and as you continue learning by doing, you will figure out more and more what features are important to you, what features you can do without, and also what it's worth to you and what price you want to pay for whatever version of that platform is that you want to use. So the main point that I want to drive home with all of this is that good enough is fine. Good enough is okay. You don't need to file your LLC before you get started on business. You can do it afterwards. It depends. It's not like a blanket rule. Everyone is different. Obviously, that's why I do offer one-on-one coaching, so that I can work through the little nuances with people. But generally speaking, again, if you're in the barely just finished trying it out and now you're kind of just wanting to get started, you can get started without necessarily going through all of the legalities behind the scenes and paying the government an annual fee now just to run your business and all of that. Having a separate bank account, although those things are good to have, just to keep records straight and all of that. But you can get started, especially if you're going slow, especially if this is like a side hustle. You already have your main source of income as a job. This is just something you're doing on the side. If that's kind of painting the picture for you of what you're looking at, I would say just do what is the bare minimum at this point. You are trying this out. You are learning, and this is the time to play. This is the time to make mistakes. People are so anxious and hungry to have a full audience, a real like group of people that are following them, and subscribers and clients list, the whole thing. They want all the big stuff, right? Because that means you're doing well and you're successful and you're making money. But the counterpoint to that is that when you make a mistake at that level, everybody sees it, or a lot of people see it, depending on what level you're at. So have fun in this moment. Think about, what if this is the fun part? What if this exploratory area you're in right now is the part that is the most lighthearted, the least stressful, the most fun? Play with that idea, because that really is where you're at right now, if you're at this point in your business. Another example of something to go low rather than high is if you are accepting payments from people online, it may suffice to just ask them to Zelle or Venmo you. That could be okay. Now, if people want to pay you with credit cards, especially if you are charging a lot for what you're doing, you may run into more people wanting to go the credit card route. That's when you may want to look at something that would probably be a monthly subscription or some kind of service outside of just the banking system and some of those apps that are available, like a Stripe or even like a QuickBooks. If you're going to be invoicing people, that could be a good solution for you. I'm not the biggest fan of QuickBooks, but at this point, I still use them for some things. So it kind of also depends on how you are doing your record keeping and all of that. My point is, though, you don't have to jump into those bigger platforms. You can stick with just the Zelle and the PayPal and the Venmo, the Cash App, all that stuff for now. Again, while you're finding your footing, put that on your to-do list for maybe next month or 3 months from now to look at a payment processor that is more professional. But for now, you can just do something easy, quick, to the point. A lot of people are used to doing that, so it's not weird. On that level, also, if you're thinking about, oh man, I need a website. Yeah, maybe you do, maybe. Or maybe you can just make sure that you open up a social media account on all of the different platforms. Now, I certainly encourage you to grab your username on all the platforms and have that. You don't necessarily have to use every social media platform, though. Lean into the ones you love to use or the ones that are easiest for you to use, or the ones where your audience, your ideal customer tends to hang out. For example, if you really want to sell to millennial females, Instagram is probably your place. If your audience is younger than that, then you might have to look at TikTok. And if you are more on the controversial side, Twitter might be the right place for you. So it just kind of depends on where your audience is and also what you enjoy doing and what you find easiest to maintain, because consistency to some extent is going to help with any platform you choose. So why not go for the easiest one for you to do, at least to start out with? So my point, though, with that is that you can buy a domain name, the one that you will eventually use for your website, and just direct it to one of the social media sites. For a long time, my domain led to my LinkedIn page, because that worked for me at the time. And now, of course, I have a great website, actlikebarbara.com, and you can see all of its bright pink glory there. But I didn't have that for a while. I've been in business a few years now, and I just launched that website January 2024. So you don't need to have the big fancy website. The other option you can use is if you are using some kind of client relationship manager or CRM, which is basically an automated email program or platform. They often have included in their lowest priced tier a landing page option where you can create a landing page. It has one job, and it's usually to collect email addresses so that you can build your email list. So if that's the point that you're at, just have the landing page and direct your URL or domain name there. And like I said, a CRM is another platform and another direction you can go as far as, getting a fancy one versus just getting the minimum needed. There are services like MailChimp, Kajabi, and that's actually where my website is hosted and everything else, but they also have an email service attached to that program. You have a few different options there, and a lot of them do have a free tier option available, but you usually have to pay something, although it's pretty low, in order to get the landing page option. So another good website replacement is just doing a landing page through another service that you're already using. And I mentioned this a little bit earlier about the keeping a separate bank account. You do want to track your finances for your business. You do want to make sure that what you spend and what you make on the business side stays separate from or at least is kept on a list somewhere so that you can determine what is that versus what is just your personal, whether it's your W-2 income or other expenditures that have nothing to do with your business, like the groceries. Like, you don't want all that stuff intermixing. You don't want to go to the grocery store, mostly buy for your house, and then also buy something for your business and just throw it into that and all on the same receipt. You want to keep those transactions separate. So this is just normal stuff. It's going to save you and or your accountant or bookkeeper later a lot of time and energy, which is money in this case, if you can keep that separate and track it properly from the get-go. I am terrible, really, really, really terrible at my own bookkeeping. I do not have any interest in doing that. I don't want to sit and do it. Even as an executive assistant in jobs past, I hated that part of any job. I put off matching receipts with credit card statements and all of anything that had to do with that. I put that off as long as possible every time. It's just not my thing. So if you can guess, that is the first thing that I hired out when I started my business. I pay probably too much money every month for an accountant to deal with all of my junk so that I don't have to. And that is worth it to me. So again, find the smallest minimum viable option for you for a lot of this stuff. But if you absolutely know in your heart that you do not want to do something and you will not do it well, and it's going to be a big mess if you try, if you have that level of self-awareness, first of all, congratulations. Second of all, hire it out, figure out how to hire that out, make the room in the budget. I think it's worth it. I would do it all again in a heartbeat. So that's something that you want to just kind of sort out. Accounting is my example of that for me personally, but maybe for you, that's not it. Something else is. Maybe running your social media account is like the thing that you cannot handle and you want to hire that out. And I know someone who does that. So hit me up if you need that kind of resource. As far as filing and when to file your LLC, it's always up to you, right? When you want to file it. I have a friend who makes quite a bit on social media on the side and still hasn't filed an LLC, and they deal with it and it's fine, right? But for me, I would say if you have made $500 or plan on making $500 this year on this side hustle, that might be a good moment to say, okay, maybe this is real. Maybe this is kind of real. And I know $500 is nothing, right? So maybe for some of you, that's like one or two clients and that's it. But I encourage you to file your LLC around that time. $500 is probably an average cost for filing an LLC to begin with. So at least you are breaking even at that point. That's always that's my own personal litmus test as to when to do something. But you do want to get legal, so to speak, be professional with what you're doing and have that sorted out. And that will then allow you to get a business checking account, which will then allow you to qualify for a business credit card, which will then allow you to operate your business fully and completely separate of your personal income and expenses and all that. So it just, again, it helps with the organization. It helps to have all that stuff separated out. It's a good exercise to go through in general. It is definitely easier than you are thinking it is. If you've never done it before, it's not that hard. There are companies you can hire to do it for you. If you are worried, you can consult with an attorney if you want to be sure on that level as well. These are all things that you can make them more complicated and fancier than you need to, if that makes you feel more comfortable and if you would prefer to do that. But you can also just do this on your own. You probably want to do it in your own state. There are other states with benefits if you file outside of your own state, but there are different rules that you need to play by with that. Some states require some kind of address there within the state physically that they can send you stuff. So it's just another hassle to go that direction if you want to. But like I said, go with the easiest thing, but at the same time, make sure that you are making enough to justify the slight headache that it is to file an LLC. That would be my advice there. Over time, things will change. You will learn. hopefully, you will grow. If you are looking back a year or two ago when you first started your business and cringing at some of the things that you did, and you're so thankful you know now what you know and are doing things differently, perfect. That's what you want to do. That is the way to do it. There is no getting around doing cringe-worthy things at the beginning. You've got to make mistakes and you have to be okay with that. That is a very difficult lesson for me to learn. I was not really used to making mistakes as a kid. And it's not that I didn't, but it was a really big deal if I did, as far as my parenting is concerned. So I was probably more scared of making mistakes than your average human when I got out into the real world. So I am here to tell you, I got over that fear. I make mistakes all the time. I'm recording a random podcast episode talking to my camera by myself while my dog sleeps next to me. This feels very silly to me. There's elements of this that are silly, but you kind of get over it because you know what needs to be done and you want to be successful. And you realize that the only way to do that is to just start and to go and to try and to do things wrong and to do it better next time. So I hope that this helps you get started, get past some of the excuses. You are ready. Even if you're not ready, go ahead and do it not ready, because that's kind of the only way to actually do it. You are as ready as you're going to be right now. Just get started, make the first step. And of course, as always, if you need any help with that process, that is what I do. I love helping people move from relying on a job as their income to actually making their own money in their own business. That's my favorite thing. And it's even more favorite of a thing if that business that you want to start is helping others and making some kind of positive impact in the world. So I am all about fulfillment and employment or business and not just a paycheck. So if that is something that resonates with you and you would like some help, please come check me out at actlikebarbara.com. Sign up for a call with me. We can talk about your business. It will be a fun time, I promise. So until then, I will be back with yet another in this series of getting started on your business. So thanks for listening.